Hello. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come in. We'll get started as soon as a few more people come in. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes. I'll start at 7:05, going over the details. Let me see. Hey, I see people joining. I'm going to start at around 7:05. I'm going to start going through the documents at 7:05. Actually, I'm going to open up one more document to go through with you. Where is it? All right, found it. Cool. Hello, Jessica. Thank you for joining. I'm going to start going through the documents at 7:05. All right. Oh, there we go. Now it's ready. Okay. So like everything went wrong. Can you guys hear me? Okay, by the way, I want to make sure my microphone is working because it doesn't always work. Can someone? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jessica. So yeah, when I was getting ready to do this live, it felt like everything went wrong. I lost the internet, but luckily when I restarted my computer, the internet started working again, so it worked out okay. I'm really glad the microphone is working tonight. And I'm also just going to say I called the medical examiner's office like maybe 20 times today. And they had also given me another number, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the actual county coroner who went to the location in Iredell. And there's nobody like answers the phone at that number. So I left, I think, 3 voicemails today, hoping to get a call back just to get a definitive response from them on estimated time of death. In the meantime, the documents that I'm going to present tonight are the medical examiner report, autopsy investigative report, and the toxicology report is included in the investigative report. So I'm not going to go over that as like a separate document since it's already included. So, and I have it for Cynthia and Gregory. Before I only had Gregory's. They finally finalized Cindy's. And I also have the Myrtle Beach incident report from the 911 call, since I didn't have that during my last live. All right, and it is 7:05. Okay, so I also want to say I reached out to a forensic pathologist. They are very expensive, and I have not yet been able to find a pro bono one. If anybody watching this is a forensic pathologist and would like to offer pro bono services, please put something in the comments to let me know. If you know a forensic pathologist who does pro bono stuff, you can also leave that in the comments. The forensic pathologists that I reached out to charged like a couple $1,000s for like 1 or 2 hours of reviewing. And because this is two people's reports, it would double probably. So we're looking at between like $2,000 and $4,000 for consults. So if anybody knows someone doing pro bono work or anybody themselves is a forensic pathologist, please put something in the chat. All right. So I'm going to see about sharing my screen. Okay. All right. Cool. Sorry, I'm just moving another smaller window to the side so I can still see this. Kind of. All right. So this is Cindy's autopsy. The final diagnoses, like the summary here at the beginning, says perforating gunshot wound to the chest, left subclavian chest. I had wanted to Google subclavian, what that meant. I didn't get to it. I had a very busy day at work, and the range was indeterminate. It hit an artery and a vein. There were no projectile fragments. So there was the one that she sustained to the chest, but then she had also sustained another gunshot to her left cheek. No projectiles found, front to back, right to left, and downward. So whoever shot her was definitely taller than her, and moderate decompositional changes. Now I have Greg's up right next to hers. I wanted to do like a side by side, but well, you guys won't be able to see Gregory's if I open it. So, all right. The cause of death was a gunshot wound of the chest. The manner of death was homicide. Major findings at the autopsy consisted of a gunshot wound of the chest with injuries to the left subclavian artery and vein. A second gunshot wound was present to the left cheek and neck associated with only superficial injuries. And duct tape was present around the left wrist and appears to have bound both the decedent's wrists together prior to discovery and examination. There was moderate decomposition-related changes. There was no ethanol detected in her toxicology. And then this is like the same blurb that was also in Gregory's. According to the Iredell County Medical Examiner and the Davie County Sheriff's Office, the decedent and her husband were found deceased from gunshot wounds in a rural area in Iredell County. Based on investigative findings, it appears that the husband bound her wrists and duct tape and abducted her from the home. After traveling to the location where they were found, he shot her and then shot himself. Now, there's a couple of things that I thought were strange. I just want to go over some of the other details in here before I start talking about some of the discrepancies. All right. The body was received clothed in a red t-shirt, blue jean shorts, and beige underwear. Personal effects that accompanied the body included a gray metal ring with a clear stone, a gray metal ring with blue stone, a gray metal necklace with metal pendant, a gray metal anklet with clear stone, which was left with the decedent, and 2 contact lenses. Okay, rigor is absent in the extremities and jaw. That means that rigor had set in and then went away again. just to, I guess, determine like time of death. Diffuse, fixed, purple liver extends over the posterior surfaces of the body, except in areas subject to pressure. Subject to pressure, that means the parts touching the ground. Fixed means it's not moving. It has settled and it's staying there. Mild to moderate decomposition related changes are present, most prominent over the face, neck, and chest. Consisting of diffuse green-brown discoloration with skin slippage, hair slippage, and post-mortem drying. Post-mortem tanning is also present over the torso and extremities, and moderate insect activity is present. Then down here, the lips and gums are pale. And so that one stood out to me. The lips and gums are pale really stood out to me because in Gregory's, it said that his were still red, which can happen since he was found on his right side, but it would still go pale after a certain amount of time. So, and I just want to see if there's anything else that stands out. Also, these items that were with the body, those were not included in the Iredell County incident report of items. So I thought that was interesting. It was only like Gregory's items that were listed. Let me see. Okay. All right. I'm going to kind of just go through some of this to get to the more relevant parts. Soot is not visible on the skin edges or within the wound track. That means that the shot likely happened from several feet away. No stippling or unburned gunpowder particles are on the skin surrounding the entrance gunshot wound. On Gregory's, it said there's no soot visible, but there was stippling, I believe. And I know you guys won't be able to see it. I'm just going to peek at his so fast to see what his had said about stippling. Now I can't even find it on his page 4. Oh, it's because I went down too far. Okay. Concentric stippling is present on the skin surrounding the entrance gunshot wounds. And soot is not visible on the skin edges or within the wound track. Okay. So that means that his was held like not as far away as when she was shot. It was closer, but it was not pressed up against the skin. And I'm still trying to consult with a forensic pathologist who is an actual like expert in this. The information that I'm giving right now is from a lot of Googling, and I got a final consultation, you know, like any self-respecting adults in 2024 from ChatGPT. Yeah. And the duct tape, a piece of duct tape encircles the decedent's left wrist with another open loop attached to the far end. So she got one of her hands out. No contusions or skull fractures are present. So that shows like no like significant signs of trauma like externally. Like there was no other than the gunshot wounds. Was there any? I'm trying to see if there was anything else. I know that the things I found most relevant had to do with the level of decomposition. And yeah, so there really wasn't like too much information, at least in layman's terms in here. The slippage of skin and hair, that has to do with the level of decomposition when it's more significant. A longer amount of time has passed. And you can see here, no ethanol detected. One thing I thought was weird was that in Gregory's, it discussed, I'm going to stop sharing a minute. It discussed that there were 30 partially digested aspirin pills found in his stomach, and there was nothing found in Cindy's stomach, but there was the bottle of trazodone with 3 pills remaining. That makes me wonder if it was trazodone pills that were in that bottle or if it was the aspirin. But also I'm still wondering like who was prescribed the trazodone, because it didn't actually say on there who it was prescribed to. But also another thing that definitely stands out, and I'm trying not to like share the screen too much because there's a lot of documents and I know I'm going to end up moving from one document to another and I'm going to forget to bring you guys with me. But in Gregory's, or in the Iredell County incident report, it discusses the items found. It discussed one Smith & Wesson, a Sig Sauer, and then 2 spent casings, but it like listed them separately on the itemized list. But Cindy was shot twice. Gregory was shot once. So that would mean that there should be 3 casings, but there aren't. Another thing in the documents that I had shared about Gregory's medical examiner report and autopsy. Actually, I'm going to share my screen for this. All right. I'm going to show you an autopsy really quick. The part I want to show you is, I think, page 3. Okay. See right here. Within the stomach were numerous partially digested pill fragments consistent with aspirin. Moderate decompositional changes were present. The thing I want to show you on page 3. Okay, right here. He was found behind the vehicle they traveled in with a gunshot wound to the head, a handgun next to him, and a shell casing nearby. Okay, now I'm going to stop sharing this one so I can show you the other one. Share. Okay. So this is Gregory's medical examiner report. The decedent is a 59-year-old male, Gregory Gobble. Positive identification made by law enforcement. He had been reported missing from his home on May 29th. The decedent was a person of interest in the possible abduction of his estranged wife. They hadn't been seen since May 29th. They had been separated for about a month. The decedent was found in a remote open field by some loggers. I arrived to find the decedent as he was found laying on the ground in front of a white Ford F-350. Now, the white Ford F-350, I don't know if they actually make a Ford F-350 and if that was just a typo, but I know that it was reported that it was a missing white Ford F-250. So I'm hoping that part was a typo, but in the autopsy report that we had just read, it said that he was found behind the Ford. This one says in front. These are all questions I left in the voicemail about some of the clarifications I was seeking. And then the decedent was laying on his right side with a single gunshot wound to the right temple. The gun was laying next to the decedent's right hand. And on the other one, at least, it had said a casing was found nearby. But there's just kind of a lot of discrepancies between just those two that I've noticed. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this one. And last thing I'm planning to show you is his autopsy. Oh, sorry, I mean her medical examiner report, because I haven't shown that one yet. Okay. And I'm going to do also a pre-recorded video to have these documents available for people to look through more comprehensively. Okay. So this is Cindy's medical examiner report. Gunshot wound of the chest was probable cause of death. When I looked on this page, a lot of the information matches what was on Gregory's, and it doesn't give too much information. The only things that are really relevant is, let me make this larger. Description of the body. The condition was intact. Rigor was at the first stage, I guess. Color purple, and blood pooling fixed, which means that she had been deceased. I believe it had said 12 to 24 hours. Let me see. I'm going to read what came up for me when I tried to determine the time of death. All right. Given Cynthia's condition, pale lips and gums, and decomposition state, and Gregory's livor mortis, red lips and gums due to side position, Cynthia likely passed away first, as paleness indicates more time has passed for blood to settle away from the visible areas. Gregory's appearance with red lips and gums, along with livor mortis still noticeable on his side, suggests he may have died shortly after Cynthia, but possibly before livor mortis fixed, generally within 6 to 12 hours after death. The estimated time difference appears to be at least a few days before discovery, while Gregory might have died within hours to a day of her, depending on the environmental conditions. So I know that that's not anything definitive. That's nothing. I'm going to stop sharing. But that's what I was able to get, not having access to a forensic pathologist. And I did call the medical examiner's office and the other number they gave me. Again, I don't remember the name of the place. It was a hospital, and it's where the Iredell County Coroner is like stationed. But she was in a more decomposed state than he was. Like, it could not, I don't believe it could have been close together because of the slippage, and it also sounded like there was more insect activity with Cindy. And again, I'm gonna put something together so that people can like go through all the documents a lot more comprehensively in your own time. Look at it for as long as you want. But it seems like she was in a much more progressed state of decomposition than he was. It's all the inconsistencies that bother me. In front of the truck versus behind the truck. The list of items from Iredell that said 2 spent casings when 3 shots had to have been fired if Cindy was shot twice and Greg was shot once. And, he had 30 partially digested aspirin tablets in his stomach. There was a bottle of trazodone, 3 pills remaining, and then nothing in hers. So what was the trazodone about? Does anybody have any thoughts that you would like to put into the comments? Any thoughts about what any of this could mean? Any questions, anything you want me to show on the screen? Because if I get requests, I will share the document or the page. I didn't see anything about gun residue testing. I did want to ask that. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask when I speak to a medical examiner. If I can get them to call me back. But I'm going to keep calling like every day. It's actually really weird because now when I call, the minute they type in the last name and they ask me, for my first name, they automatically know like my last name and that I've been calling, that I've been trying to get this information. We're actually on a first name basis. I'm on a first name basis now with a lot of the people who work there. Because I have all their names written down, all the different people that I've spoken with. So that's what I have right now. I'm glad that we finally got Cindy's autopsy, investigative report, medical examiner report, and toxicology. More than anything, what it shows is, I think, not some of the best. I don't want to sound critical, but not some of the best police work because of the inconsistencies. Okay. And I just found out from my source that gun residue testing was requested, but they didn't do it, which is really messed up. You'd think that those close to the victims would be able to request something like that, and that kind of a request would be honored. I wonder now if anything similar could have even happened with Micah, like if her parents had asked for it or her sister. I think I heard an interview where they said that they did want those things. Okay. Is there anything anyone wants me to look for in those documents? Any descriptors other than what I've already shown? All right. Well, this does not have to be a long live. I just wanted to go over some of the things that I had noticed. But yeah, Cindy's blood pooling was fixed. Greg was non-fixed. And I don't want to be too, I guess, gross with some of the words that I use, but skin slippage, hair slippage. She was much further in a state of decomposition than he was. because none of that was happening with him based on the descriptions. No alcohol was involved. I don't understand why he took 30 aspirin. If he was planning on shooting her and then himself, what would the aspirin do? Unless anybody out there knows of some new trend involving aspirin that I'm not aware of. Holy snap, the chat is quiet tonight. Wow, people watching must be about as tired as I am. But yeah, the only other new information I have is involving Micah Miller, more specifically. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, the only other little bit of information I have is Micah Miller, but I do not have enough information yet. There's one more thing I need to send out for, and once I receive a response to that, I will present it. But yeah, so I am going to hopefully be able to put together some kind of a pre-recorded video where I go through the documents. I would love to have a forensic pathologist consult to make sure that the information given is as accurate as possible. I don't like, putting my guesses out there, or the information from my consultation with ChatGPT. It just doesn't feel reliable enough. So hopefully if I'm able to get that, I'm going to continue calling tomorrow. I'm going to hopefully have more information to put out there. But I would appreciate it if people thought about some of the information that went through. Something might get triggered. Other cases you've heard of, or start tapping into that Google and seeing if any of this is indicative of anything remarkable. So, okay, I am going to probably end the live now. I'm probably going to check out Miss Anne's on Creature de Classe magazine. Thank you all so much for watching. And when you leave this live, please hop on over to Anne's. Thanks. Have a great night.